The grand hall of the Galactic Council was filled with tension. Stars outside the huge observation windows glittered like distant gems, but inside the air was heavy with unease. Representatives from 5 great empires had gathered, each in their unique forms, each proud, each wary. The most pressing issue was clear. The humans were silent. No transmissions, no reports, no signals. Months had passed since the last human fleet had been heard from, and nobody knew why. The humans, known across the galaxy for their ingenuity and unpredictability, had always maintained a network of communications even across uncharted space. Their silence was unthinkable. Ambassadors from the Zorathi Empire, with their multi-limbed, shimmering forms, whispered urgently among themselves. "If humans are truly lost," said one, its voice like the hum of a small engine, "it will upset the balance of power in the galaxy." Across the hall, the Centauri, a race of crystalline beings, clicked and chimed as they shared similar concerns. "We cannot simply act without understanding," their leader intoned. "Humans are unpredictable. They may be testing us, or something else entirely." The Valari, feline-like and agile, paced impatiently. Their leader, Captain Rhinal, slammed a paw-like limb against the floor. "Testing or not, we cannot wait forever. Human fleets control routes that are vital for our trade. If they are gone, we must step in before others do." The final 2 empires, the aquatic Mirians and the metallic Aedans, were quieter but no less anxious. Their representative, Lord Zarek of the Aedans, his chrome-like surface gleaming, simply said, "It is unusual for humans to vanish. Something is happening. We must investigate." At the center of the hall, the chair of the council, a neutral being of indeterminate form called the Orin, raised its multiple appendages. Its voice, calm and echoing, carried over the murmurs. "Silence from a human fleet is unprecedented. They are known to communicate constantly. The council must decide. Do we wait, or do we act?" The hall grew quiet. Each empire was thinking, each plotting, each worried about the unknown. Humans had always been a mystery, even to the most advanced species. They explored new territories, created technology unlike anything else, and often resolved problems with cleverness rather than conflict. But no one could predict what they might do next. After a long pause, the Zorathi ambassador spoke again. "We cannot rely on hope alone. Human silence may indicate danger. Perhaps something beyond our understanding has caught them. Or perhaps they are observing us," said the Centauri leader. "Humans enjoy testing others. We may already be part of some experiment they set in motion. Our responses to their absence may be exactly what they intended to study." This suggestion made several delegates stir uncomfortably. Humans, as observers, watching from the shadows, had always been a possibility, but no one wanted to admit it. They were clever, but could they really outthink entire empires? Rhinal of the Valari growled softly under his breath. "If they are testing us, it is a dangerous game. Every day we wait, we risk losing influence, resources, and trade routes. I propose we take action. We must investigate human space directly." "Mirians," said Lord Zarek calmly, "we must consider the risks. Human fleets are vast and advanced. We do not know what capabilities they have in unknown space. Acting recklessly could backfire. Their absence may be deliberate for a reason." The Orin raised another appendage. "Then what is the Council's plan?" "We must decide quickly. Every empire is affected by human silence. The galaxy waits." A tense discussion followed. Every empire presented its viewpoint. Some suggested sending scouts or probes. Some suggested a small exploratory fleet to make contact. Others suggested holding back entirely, hoping humans would return of their own accord. Every plan was weighed, debated, and challenged. The Zorathi ambassador finally leaned forward. "Our scouts have reported unusual phenomena near the outer sectors where humans were last seen. Communication arrays appear active, yet there is no traffic. It is strange, almost as if someone is deliberately masking signals." The Centauri leader's crystals gleamed with excitement. "Exactly. It could be a human strategy. They are known for ingenious, sometimes maddening tactics. We must assume any step we take is already anticipated by them. This caused a stir in the hall. The Volari were frustrated. Do we let ourselves be outwitted? We cannot simply guess what humans are doing while our rivals take advantage. Edens remained measured. Humans are exceptional problem solvers. They have survived in situations that would destroy others, but perhaps their silence is not a threat, merely a test of patience. While the empires argued, no one noticed a small human probe quietly passing near the council hall. It was invisible to most scanners, its movement subtle, almost playful. It monitored, recorded, and transmitted data back to a distant human command center. The humans were observing all reactions, but no one in the council knew this. Suddenly, the Orin called for attention. Enough debate. We will authorize limited exploratory missions. No confrontation, no aggression. Just careful observation. We must understand before we act. Agreement was reached, though grudgingly in some quarters. Each empire prepared its scouts and observers, sending fleets toward sectors humans had explored. Some fleets were large, designed to show strength. Others were small, subtle, designed to blend in. Each hoped to discover what had become of the humans, and perhaps learn something from their mysterious absence. Weeks passed. Observers reported puzzling signs. Some planets appeared untouched, yet satellites were operational. Some stations that looked abandoned transmitted signals in patterns no alien technology could explain. And in each case, humans were nowhere to be seen. The Volari. Captain frowned at a monitor. These signals, they are too perfect to be random. Humans must have left them. But why? Perhaps it is a message, said a Centauri delegate, or a puzzle. Humans are fond of puzzles. They test patience and intelligence. We may have to think like them to understand. Meanwhile, the Zorathi ambassador noted strange anomalies in the energy grids of human stations. Every system functions with perfect efficiency, as if someone is controlling them remotely. But no life forms are present. This is remarkable, said Lord Zarek. They are still influencing their territories without even being here. Imagine the foresight required for such organization. Across the council fleets, small disagreements erupted. The empires had initially planned to assert control in human space, but each new discovery made them hesitate. Every attempt to approach human-controlled sectors was met with subtle obstacles. Routes shifted, signals diverted, and strange patterns emerged. The humans were not just absent. They were orchestrating events in ways no one could fully understand. In the Grand Hall, the Orin observed all reports. It seems humans are teaching a lesson in patience and observation. Their silence is not weakness, but a demonstration of their abilities. Perhaps it is time for the empires to acknowledge that humans are more than explorers. They are masters of strategy. Some delegates nodded in agreement. Others glared, frustrated that such a small race could outthink entire empires. But everyone knew the truth. Humans were exceptional. Even absent, they commanded respect. Night fell across the observation windows. Stars shimmered silently, distant and indifferent. Yet in that silence, humans were still active somewhere far beyond the council's gaze. Their fleets, scattered across the unknown, were exploring, observing, and learning. And the galaxy, for the first time, understood that humans could change the course of events without firing a single weapon, without threatening anyone directly. The 5 empires sat quietly in the Grand Hall, each reflecting on their assumptions. Humans were unpredictable. Humans were clever. And humans were everywhere, even when they seemed to be nowhere. The council would wait, but unease lingered. One question echoed silently in every mind. What would the humans do next? The galaxy had never been so quiet, yet so alive with tension. The 5 empires had sent their exploratory fleets toward human sectors, but the silence of the humans was no longer just unsettling. It was puzzling. Every attempt to survey or approach Human territory revealed strange patterns that no alien science could easily explain. Captain Reinl of the Volari paced the bridge of her flagship, the Silver Fang. Her feline eyes scanned the holographic displays, which projected the positions of several human stations and satellites. To the untrained eye, these installations seemed deserted, but to anyone paying attention, it was clear that nothing was as simple as it seemed. "They appear abandoned," Reinl said to her science officer, a smaller Volari named Vesh. "Yet every system functions perfectly. No energy drains, no malfunctions. It's like the stations are alive." Vesh clicked a paw against the console. "Alive or controlled remotely, humans are capable of astonishing technology. Even if their fleets are gone, they may still be operating their systems from afar." Reinl's tail flicked in frustration. Remote control over such a large network, it's unsettling. How can one species maintain efficiency across so many locations without being physically present? Meanwhile, on the observation decks of the Mirian fleet, the aquatic diplomats stared at the deep space projections. Streams of data flowed like bioluminescent rivers, showing patterns in energy use, orbital paths, and communication traffic. "Notice this," said Admiral Thaley, the Mirian leader. "These satellites appear to be coordinating with each other. Signals are rerouted almost instantly when our probes come near. It is as if the humans anticipated our movements before we even made them." "Predictive algorithms?" suggested one of the younger Mirians. "No species has that level of processing, not even the Aedans." Thale nodded slowly. "It is more than algorithms. There is foresight, strategy. They are watching, calculating, guiding outcomes without direct contact." Far from the Mirian fleet, the Zorathi ambassador monitored a cluster of human research stations. The Zorathi's multiple eyes blinked rapidly, scanning data readouts. "Every station seems to have a purpose," said Ambassador Krell. "They appear inactive, yet each contributes to a larger system we cannot see. It is a network of intelligence, and it is elegant, deliberate, controlled. The humans are orchestrating this while we remain blind." Even the Aedans, usually calm and analytical, were impressed. Lord Zarek's metallic surface shimmered under the observation lights. They are not missing, only hidden. Their presence is felt indirectly through these systems. They are turning their absence into an advantage. Back in the Volari fleet, Reinl's communications officer intercepted a strange pattern in the data streams. "Captain, look at this. Some signals are repeating, but not randomly. They form sequences. It almost looks like a message, but encoded in a way that no Volari or Zorathi technology can decode." Reinl leaned over the console. "Humans always leaving puzzles. They must be watching us. Every fleet we send, every probe, every action, it's being observed. They are teaching us to think differently, to pay attention to details we normally ignore." Across the galaxy, similar phenomena appeared. Observation fleets sent by each empire reported anomalies, stations that seemed abandoned yet perfectly maintained, energy flows that responded to the fleet's movements, and subtle rearrangements of satellites and structures that made navigation confusing for the aliens. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, emissaries shared their findings. The room buzzed with excitement and frustration. Humans were no longer a mystery to fear, they were a challenge to understand. The Centauri leader, their crystalline body glittering, addressed the assembly. "Humans have left behind systems that function independently yet respond intelligently to interference. Every fleet we send is being watched. They anticipate our every move, yet no aggression is shown. This is genius." The Zorathi ambassador, usually proud and assertive, admitted quietly, "I have never seen a species manipulate technology so elegantly. Even in their absence, humans control outcomes. They are teaching us, or testing us." The Volari captain, Reinl, added sharply, "Testing us, yes, but for what purpose? We cannot assume danger, but neither can we ignore their ingenuity. We must adapt to think as they think, otherwise we will fail before we even understand the situation." While the council debated, humans were quietly observing from a distance. They had dispersed small autonomous probes that moved unseen through space, recording alien behavior and analyzing responses to their networks. Each empire's fleet was like a player on a chessboard, and the humans had already anticipated every move. In human space, enormous stations hummed with life, though no humans were present physically. Artificial intelligence systems designed and maintained by humans kept every function operational. Signals were rerouted to confuse and guide alien fleets without causing harm. Resource collection, research, and monitoring continued uninterrupted. It was a silent ballet of efficiency. Some alien scientists began to recognize patterns. Even without understanding the technology fully, they saw the logic behind it. Humans were ethical in their approach. They did not harm the alien fleets, but they nudged events in ways that favored careful observation and learning. Mirians, Zorathi, Aedans, Valari, Thale of the Mirians said during a joint meeting, "We cannot underestimate them. Humans demonstrate foresight that challenges the very methods we rely on. They are teaching us to anticipate, adapt, and think beyond conventional tactics. Even in silence, they influence us." Lord Tazarek of the Aedans agreed. Indeed, humans lead without showing power. They influence without confrontation. We are beginning to understand why they are respected and feared across the galaxy. The Valari Captain Reinal frowned. Respected, yes, but I do not like feeling manipulated. If humans are watching us this closely, what else might they know about our empires? Our strategies? Our weaknesses? Vesh, her science officer, clicked, thoughtfully. Perhaps that is the lesson. They are not our enemies, but our teachers. They push us to learn, to see beyond immediate goals, to act with foresight and consideration. That is the true power of humans. Weeks turned into months. Alien fleets continued their cautious surveys, but instead of seeking control, many began observing human systems with admiration. The humans' absence had not caused chaos. It had highlighted their influence. In one remote sector, a Zorathi fleet discovered a seemingly abandoned human mining station. Initial scans suggested no life forms, no activity. Yet power grids were active, machines operated with flawless timing, and sensors adjusted automatically to the approaching fleet. Krell, the Zorathi ambassador, turned to his crew. It is impossible. These systems respond as if guided by intuition, and they anticipate our every move. Humans do not merely build technology, they build thinking systems. Meanwhile, the Valari Silver Fang had an encounter with a seemingly empty human probe. It hovered in the void, invisible to most sensors, yet occasionally transmitted bursts of data that confused and intrigued the Valari. Reinal stared at the readings. They are playful? Even in absence, humans have a sense of strategy and humor. This is unlike any other species. They do not threaten, yet they dominate the situation intellectually. Even among the Aedans, known for their calm and logical reasoning, whispers of admiration spread. Humans were not physically present, yet they influenced events, guided outcomes, and challenged the greatest minds of the galaxy without aggression. In the Grand Hall, the Orin observed all reports. It is clear that humans do not act through force. Their influence is subtle, intelligent, and precise. Even in silence, they command attention and respect. The galaxy is learning from them whether it wants to or not. As night fell across countless star systems, humans continued their silent operations. Probes glided through space, stations hummed with invisible life, and data streamed back to distant command centers. The five empires were slowly realizing that absence does not equal weakness. In this vast and quiet game of observation, humans had shown one undeniable truth. Intelligence, ingenuity, and foresight were greater than power alone. The galaxy was beginning to see why humans were not only explorers, but innovators, leaders, and teachers, even when they appeared to do nothing at all. The council fleets, once anxious and suspicious, began to respect the brilliance behind the silence. And in every fleet a single thought emerged, unspoken but shared. The humans were not gone. They were simply ahead. The galaxy had entered a strange period of cautious tension. The five empires had learned that humans were absent, yet their influence continued everywhere. It was a lesson in patience and intelligence, but the aliens were growing restless. Observation and admiration were one thing. Waiting indefinitely was another. Captain Reinl of the Volari paced her bridge again, eyes fixed on the glowing holographic map. Fleet movements were complex as humans had subtly shifted routes, altered communication paths, and guided energy flows in ways no one fully understood. "We cannot sit idle," Reinl said sharply to her officers. "Humans are testing us. Every fleet, every probe, every action, they anticipate it. But we have to act. We must assert presence in human sectors, even if we do not understand it fully." Vesh, her science officer, clicked thoughtfully. "Act carefully, Captain. Humans are brilliant strategists. We do not yet know the extent of their foresight. One wrong move and we may miss their intention entirely." Reinl's tail lashed impatiently. "Careful does not mean inactive. We will send a small task force to human-controlled systems. Observe, learn, and establish our presence. No conflict, no interference with operations. But we must move forward." The Volari were not the only empire making bold plans. Across the galaxy, the Zorathi had deployed a series of exploratory missions to survey human space. Ambassador Krell monitored multiple stations, satellites, and routes simultaneously. "These humans," Krell murmured to his team, "they have left systems that function independently, yet adapt instantly to our approach. Every probe we send is guided by invisible hands. If we misstep, we will appear foolish." "Foolish?" asked a junior officer. "But we are not here to challenge them, only to study." "Yes," Krell replied, "but they anticipate our every step. Even observation alone is part of their test." Meanwhile, the Mirians sent a research fleet toward a cluster of human mining stations. Admiral Thale observed the operations quietly. Every automated system worked perfectly. Machines moved in synchrony, energy grids adjusted automatically, and the fleet's sensors were subtly guided by signals the humans had left behind. "It is remarkable," Thale said, watching the displays. "Humans do not intervene physically, yet they guide events with precision. They turn absence into influence, observation into learning. It is artistry." On the Aedan side, Lord Zarek oversaw a mapping expedition near a human communications array. "They anticipate everything," he said, his metallic surface gleaming with reflected light. "Our paths, our timing, our approaches, each is accounted for. We are learning from them, whether we like it or not." Even as the five empires tried to assert influence in human-controlled regions, humans subtly maintained control. The fleets discovered that stations would reroute signals, resources would be redirected without explanation, and navigation systems adjusted to test the visitors' patience. Nothing was blocked or harmed, but everything was guided. On the Volari flagship, Reinl frowned at a display. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a holographic map. "Every route we take is subtly altered. The humans are shaping our behavior, guiding us without confrontation. And they do it flawlessly." Vesh, the science officer, nodded. "It is as if they are teaching us a lesson. Humans often create puzzles to test others' problem-solving abilities. Perhaps this is another one of their lessons." The situation grew more complicated when the empires began communicating among themselves. The Volari, Zorathi, Mirians, and Aedans shared findings, hoping to understand humans collectively. But coordination was harder than expected. Each empire interpreted human systems differently. Each attempted different approaches, and none could predict the humans' subtle guidance. "This is frustrating," Reinl admitted privately to Vesh. "Even if we combine data, humans still stay ahead. They are invisible teachers shaping the galaxy quietly." Meanwhile, the humans themselves watched. Their fleets were scattered in deep unexplored sectors. Small autonomous probes gathered data, analyzing the five empires' reactions. Each adjustment, each path change, each fleet movement was logged, studied and used to improve further human networks. On Earth and other human command centers far beyond the Council fleets, humans smiled at their results. They did not interfere directly. They did not threaten. Yet their influence shaped events across hundreds of light years. The empires believed they were acting independently, but every move was anticipated. In one human-controlled sector, a Zorathi fleet approached a research station. The station appeared inactive, yet lights blinked faintly, machines hummed with perfect rhythm, and sensors subtly adjusted to the fleet's approach. The Zorathi marveled. "This is incredible," Ambassador Krell whispered. "They are everywhere and nowhere. We see no humans, yet we feel their presence in every action. They are orchestrators." The Volari had a similar experience. Their Silver Fang approached a mining station where resource collection should have required human intervention. Yet everything ran smoothly, as if guided by invisible hands. Rhinal's frustration turned to admiration. "They are testing us," she said aloud, "and teaching us without a word, without a threat. They are extraordinary." Even when fleets attempted small diversions or minor adjustments, humans countered, not with aggression, but with clever adaptations. A probe would redirect a fleet's sensors. Energy flows would subtly change. Communication channels would reroute information to guide outcomes. Nothing was broken. Nothing was harmed. But everything was influenced, carefully, precisely, and intelligently. In the Grand Hall of the Council, the 5 empires' representatives discussed the situation with growing respect. "The humans are not absent," the Centauri leader said. "They are guiding events in ways we do not yet understand. Every fleet we send, every probe, every observation, is part of their design. And they do it without confrontation." The Zorathi ambassador Krell nodded. "They anticipate. They adapt. They teach. And we, despite all our technology, are struggling to keep pace." Even the usually reserved Aedans admitted admiration. Lord Zarek's chrome surface reflected the hall's lights. "We are witnessing intelligence applied with foresight. Humans operate on a level beyond traditional strategy. Their absence is their presence." Rhinal, listening through interstellar channels, felt a mix of frustration and awe. The humans were not enemies, yet they had forced every empire to rethink assumptions, to anticipate outcomes, and to learn patience and observation. In one remote system, a human fleet quietly repositioned satellites, rerouted power flows, and adjusted navigation arrays. No one noticed directly, but every alien fleet approaching that system felt subtle nudges, unexpected readings, slight energy fluctuations, minor path adjustments. It was all harmless yet profoundly instructive. "This is a test," Rhinal said again. "A lesson in strategy, patience, and observation. Humans are showing us that influence is more powerful than force. Even when they do nothing physically, they guide outcomes." And that was exactly the point. The humans were shaping the galaxy, not with fleets of warships, not with weapons, but with intelligence, creativity, and foresight. The 5 empires realized they had underestimated humanity. They had assumed humans' absence was weakness. Instead, it was demonstration. In quiet corners of the galaxy, each empire quietly revised its plans. Instead of aggressive assertions, they would study, observe, and learn. Humans had turned absence into a classroom, the galaxy into a playground of intellect and strategy. For humans, it was almost effortless. Their fleets remained scattered, their stations hummed with invisible activity, and their probes recorded everything. Every empire's decision, every fleet's movement, every reaction to human systems was logged, analyzed, and stored. Humans were learning as much from the empires as the empires were trying to learn from humans. In the vast silence of space, far from prying eyes, the humans' plan unfolded perfectly. They had demonstrated that true influence required no weapons, no aggression, no threats, only intelligence, ingenuity, and patience. Captain Rhinal of the Volari, reviewing her fleet's reports, finally said, "Humans do not act like any other species. They do not dominate through force. They dominate through intellect, observation, and strategy, and I respect them for it. Across the galaxy, a similar realization spread among the five empires. Humans had not abandoned their territories, nor had they failed to communicate. Humans were simply ahead, always a step beyond expectation, shaping the galaxy in subtle, brilliant ways. The empires began to understand a truth they could not ignore. Humans, even in silence, commanded attention, respect, and awe. And the question that lingered in every fleet and council chamber was simple yet profound. What would humans do next? The galaxy had grown accustomed to the humans' mysterious absence, yet no one had truly accepted it. Observation fleets floated silently through human-controlled sectors. Satellites adjusted themselves invisibly, and stations worked perfectly, as if someone were always watching. The five empires had learned much from the humans' clever manipulations, yet understanding them fully remained impossible. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, representatives gathered once more. The mood was tense but tinged with cautious respect. Captain Reinl of the Valari spoke first, recounting her fleet's recent experiences. "The humans anticipate every move," she said, her feline features calm but intense. "Every fleet we send, every probe we launch, every decision we make, it has been guided, adjusted, and tested by their unseen hand. They are not absent. They are everywhere." The Zarathi ambassador Krell nodded, his multiple eyes blinking. Rapidly. "We assumed silence meant weakness, yet the humans have demonstrated patience, foresight, and brilliance. Their influence is subtle, but undeniable. They are teachers we did not ask for." Lord Zarek of the Aedens shimmered in agreement. "Even when we attempt to act independently, our actions are anticipated. The humans are orchestrating outcomes without interference, without conflict. This is exceptional." Admiral Thalo of the Myrians added, "We cannot underestimate them. Even without physical presence, humans influence the galaxy in ways we cannot fully comprehend. Every empire has learned something valuable from their absence." The Orin, neutral chair of the council, finally spoke. "Perhaps it is time. The humans have made their intentions clear through observation, through subtle guidance, and through patience. If they are ready, perhaps we should invite them to speak, to reveal themselves." A low murmur spread across the council chamber. To meet humans face to face after months of silence was both exciting and unsettling. The humans had always been respected for their ingenuity, but now that respect had grown into something more profound: admiration. In the distance, beyond the reach of alien sensors, the humans prepared to communicate. Their fleets were scattered across deep sectors, but communication hubs activated gently, sending messages encoded in universal formats. The first message arrived at the council, simple, polite, and unmistakably human. "Greetings to the Galactics. Council, we have observed your fleet's actions, and your deliberations. Our absence was deliberate. We wished to learn, to understand, and to share a lesson in foresight, patience, and intelligence. We now wish to meet and speak openly." The council fell silent. Humans had not threatened, nor had they demanded anything. Their message was calm, respectful, and firm. Every empire felt a mixture of relief, surprise, and awe. Captain Reinl leaned forward. "They are extraordinary. They could have taken control, forced outcomes, or demanded influence. Instead, they chose observation and patience. This is beyond any other species I know." Ambassador Krell's antennas twitched. "And yet their absence has taught us more than months of conventional diplomacy could have. Humans act without aggression, yet they demonstrate leadership." When humans' representatives arrived at the council chamber, the empires were astonished. Humans appeared ordinary, yet there was an unmistakable presence about them, calm, confident, and intelligent. They carried no weapons, no show of force, only thoughtful eyes and welcoming gestures. The lead human, Ambassador Lyra, addressed the council. "We observed your fleets, your discussions, and your decisions. We wanted to see how each empire would respond to uncertainty, how you would act when faced with silence. Our purpose was not to test for weakness, but to reveal potential, the potential to act wisely, with foresight, and with creativity. The empires listened, captivated. The humans spoke clearly and kindly, yet every word carried weight. They had orchestrated months of events across hundreds of light years, not to dominate but to teach. Admiral Thale of the Mirians spoke first. "You have guided us without intervention, without force. We have learned patience, observation, and humility. Why did you choose this method?" Ambassador Lyra smiled. "Force or aggression may achieve compliance, but it does not create understanding. We wish to demonstrate that influence can be achieved through intelligence, creativity, and respect. By observing your responses, you have seen how foresight can shape outcomes without harm." Rinal of the Volari nodded slowly. "We assumed absence meant vulnerability. Instead, it has proven to be a strength. Humans, even when not present, are leaders by thought and intellect." The Zarathi ambassador, Krell, leaned forward. "Your systems, stations, satellites, probes, they functioned perfectly without human presence, and yet every empire's actions were guided subtly. This is remarkable. You orchestrated outcomes without confrontation." Lyra replied, "We prefer to guide rather than control. Influence is stronger when it comes from insight rather than threat. We hope that by showing this we can create a foundation for cooperation, understanding, and mutual growth." Lord Zarek of the Aedans, usually reserved, spoke carefully. "We have underestimated humans. Your intelligence, creativity, and ethical guidance are unparalleled. Even in absence, you have led us to question our assumptions, improve our methods, and rethink our strategies. This is a gift." Humans had shown a truth that every empire slowly accepted. Leadership was not measured in power, aggression, or control, but in intellect, ethics, and influence. And in this quiet, brilliant manner, humans had led the galaxy. During the following discussions, humans proposed initiatives to share knowledge, enhance communication, and improve cooperation across sectors. They suggested ways to align fleets for exploration, resource management, and scientific study. Every proposal was practical, respectful, and forward-thinking. The council was astonished by the clarity of thought. Instead of forcing decisions, humans offered options and guidance, letting each empire choose paths that aligned with their values. No one felt pressured, yet every empire recognized the wisdom in the humans' approach. Captain Reinl, reflecting privately, thought, "This is how humans lead. Not through fear or aggression, but through intelligence, foresight, and respect. They are exceptional." In one corner, Ambassador Krell whispered to a fellow Zarathi, "We were ready to act in force, to assert control. Instead, we are learning humility, patience, and strategy. Humans have taught us to think beyond our assumptions." Admiral Thale of the Mirians nodded. "And we are only beginning. Their guidance is subtle, yet profound. We now see a galaxy differently, thanks to humans." The humans had done something extraordinary. They had turned absence into influence, silence into teaching, and observation into leadership. Every empire, once poised to act in suspicion and aggression, now recognized the brilliance behind calm, patient, and ethical guidance. Even the Orin, neutral and wise, could not hide its admiration. "Humans demonstrate a rare quality," it said. "Leadership through intellect, ethical influence, and creativity. The galaxy is fortunate to learn from them, even when they choose to remain silent." As the council adjourned, each empire returned to its fleets with a new perspective. Observation and patience had replaced impatience and suspicion. Caution had become curiosity. Respect had replaced fear. Humans had achieved influence without confrontation, leadership without dominance, and guidance without force. In the far reaches of space, human fleets continued their work. Autonomous probes gathered data, stations operated flawlessly, and command centers analyzed alien behavior. But now, humans were ready to engage, to speak openly, and to share their vision for a galaxy guided by knowledge, cooperation, and foresight. The five empires, once on the verge of frustration and conflict, now waited with anticipation. The humans' absence had been deliberate, but their presence, intellectual, ethical, and strategic, was undeniable. The revelation was clear. Humans were not just explorers. They were leaders, teachers, and innovators, capable of shaping events through brilliance alone. And the question remained, unspoken but universal. What would humans do next? For the first time in centuries, the galaxy understood a profound truth. True strength lay not in power, nor in aggression, but in intelligence, creativity, ethics, and foresight. Humans had shown it quietly, carefully, brilliantly. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with anticipation. For the first time in months, the humans were present, not absent, not silent, but fully engaged. The five empires, once poised for suspicion, aggression, or rivalry, now watched, in a mixture of awe and curiosity. Humans had proven their brilliance without force, and now they sought to share a vision for the future. Ambassador Lyra of the Humans stepped forward, her posture calm, her voice steady. We have observed your actions and decisions for many months. Your fleets, your councils, your debates, all were recorded, studied, and understood. Our absence was not a sign of weakness, nor was it meant to punish or deceive. It was meant to teach, to guide, and to show that leadership can be achieved without conflict. The five empires listened quietly, absorbing every word. Captain Reinl of the Volari felt a mixture of relief and admiration. Humans could have acted through dominance or threats, yet they chose to influence through intellect, foresight, and ethical guidance. Admiral Thale of the Mirians spoke first. Your demonstration has changed our perspective. We have learned patience, careful observation, and respect for intelligence over aggression. We are grateful for this lesson. Lyra nodded. Thank you. But learning alone is not enough. True understanding comes from collaboration, sharing knowledge, and building systems together. That is why we are here, to offer cooperation, guidance, and opportunity. The Zorathi ambassador Krell leaned forward. Cooperation is wise. We initially assumed humans were absent due to some disaster or weakness. Instead, you have proven foresight and patience beyond what any of our empires could anticipate. Your presence is inspiring. Lord Zarek of the Aedans, usually reserved and careful, agreed. You have shown that influence and leadership need not involve aggression. Even the absence of your fleets shaped our actions, improved our thinking, and encouraged unity. Humans had created a model that was entirely new to the galaxy. No empire had ever experienced leadership without force, guidance without threats, or influence without intimidation. The revelation was both simple and profound. Intelligence, ethics, and foresight could reshape a galaxy more effectively than weapons ever could. Lyra smiled. We propose a new council structure where humans and all five empires can share knowledge freely, coordinate scientific exploration, manage resources ethically, and resolve disputes through discussion and collaboration, rather than conflict. This is not domination, it is partnership. Captain Reinl, watching carefully, felt a sense of humility. Partnership, something our empires rarely consider on this scale. Humans are showing us a path we never imagined, and yet it feels right. The Mirians were equally impressed. Admiral Thale nodded. Your guidance is subtle yet profound. We can see the benefits of this approach. Coordination, respect, shared knowledge. This could stabilize the galaxy in ways force never could. Even the Zorathi, usually proud and competitive, could not hide their respect. Ambassador Krell said quietly, We have spent centuries building fleets, expanding influence, and asserting control. Humans have taught us that there is more to strength than power. There is wisdom, patience, and insight. Over the next weeks, the Council worked closely with the humans. Satellites, fleets, and research stations were reorganized for cooperation. Scientific data was shared openly. Trade routes were optimized for efficiency and safety. Communication, systems once used competitively, were adapted for collaboration. Captain Reinl watched her fleet adjust to new guidelines. No longer was the goal to assert control in human sectors. Instead, the Valari learned to anticipate needs, respond efficiently, and coordinate with other empires. The humans' influence had transformed behavior across the galaxy without a single confrontation. Even the Mirians and Aidens, once cautious and slow to adapt, embraced new practices. Resource collection became more efficient, energy grids were shared, and fleets coordinated to prevent accidents. Alien engineers marveled at human designs that emphasized flexibility, foresight, and cooperation. In a remote sector, humans quietly monitored these changes. Autonomous probes gathered data, not for control but to guide further improvement. Stations hummed silently, satellites adjusted with precision, and communication networks responded intelligently to emerging challenges. Ambassador Lyra addressed the Council again. Our goal is simple: a galaxy where knowledge, cooperation, and foresight guide our actions. Conflict is not necessary to achieve progress. By learning from one another, we become stronger, wiser, and more capable. The five empires had begun to understand a truth they could not ignore. Humans were not just explorers or strategists. They were leaders who demonstrated that intellect, ethics, and vision could unite even the most diverse species. Captain Reinl felt a shift within herself. Humans, they do not command through fear or aggression. They inspire action by showing what is possible. That is real leadership. Even Lord Zarek, reflective as ever, admitted privately to a fellow Aiden, "We have underestimated humans for centuries. Their approach is not only effective, it is transformative. We are lucky to witness it." The Valari fleet, the Zarathi missions, the Mirian research teams, and the Aiden mapping expeditions all began reporting smoother operations, fewer conflicts, and more efficient collaboration. Humans had quietly instilled a new system of thinking across vast sectors of space. And yet the humans remained humble. Their fleets continued to explore, their probes collected data, and their stations functioned flawlessly. They did not claim ownership. They did not demand obedience. They simply guided, observed, and offered insight. One day during a joint council session, Lyra spoke with quiet authority. "We have demonstrated that cooperation, patience, and foresight can replace conflict. The galaxy is vast and challenges will continue to arise. But by working together, by learning from one another, we can face them with wisdom rather than fear." Captain Reinl, listening to the human ambassador, realized that this moment marked a turning point. The five empires, once rivals with suspicion and fear, were now willing to trust, to collaborate, and to learn from one another. Humans had done what no fleet, no weapon, and no empire could. They had unified the galaxy through intelligence, ethics, and foresight alone. Weeks turned into months, and the Council's initiatives took root. Trade flourished. Scientific discoveries accelerated. Exploration reached previously uncharted sectors. Disputes were resolved through dialogue and careful planning rather than threats or force. Humans had shown a new way of thinking, and the galaxy was transforming because of it. Even distant fleets began to feel the change. A Zarathi cargo mission and a Mirian research vessel coordinated their operations for the first time, guided by human-designed systems. Energy grids that once competed now supported multiple species simultaneously. Communication networks transmitted data efficiently and securely. In quiet observation posts, humans noted the progress without interfering directly. They saw fleets learn, empires adapt, and systems cooperate. It was exactly as they had hoped: guidance without control, influence without aggression, leadership without force. Captain Reinl reflected privately in her cabin. Humans are extraordinary. They teach without arrogance, lead without force, and inspire without fear. Perhaps this is what it truly means to be powerful, through intellect, ethics, and vision. Admiral Thale of the Mirians recorded a similar thought. "We will not forget this lesson. Humans have redefined leadership, cooperation, and progress. The galaxy is better for it." And so, a new era began. The five empires, guided by humans, learned to trust, cooperate, and innovate. Conflicts became rare. Mistakes became opportunities for learning. And across light years of space, the humans quietly continued their work, exploring, observing, and guiding, all without ever needing to dominate. The galaxy had discovered a truth it had never known. True strength was not in fleets or weapons, but in intelligence, ethics, foresight, and cooperation. And humans had shown the way. The five empires, once poised to act in suspicion and wrath, now worked together under a shared vision of progress and unity. And in every council, every fleet, and every station, the presence of humans, calm, wise, and brilliant, was felt in ways far deeper than mere observation. As Ambassador Lyra concluded the final council session, she said simply, "The galaxy has potential beyond conflict. We have shown that collaboration, intellect, and ethical guidance can shape events more effectively than force ever could. Let this be the foundation for a brighter, wiser future." The council adjourned. Outside, stars glittered across the endless darkness of space. The five empires returned to their fleets, the humans to their exploration, and the galaxy began a new chapter, one guided not by fear or aggression, but by brilliance, patience, and shared vision. For humans, it was a quiet victory. They had influenced an entire galaxy, unified empires, and demonstrated the true power of intelligence, ethics, and foresight. And they had done it all without a single act of violence. The galaxy would never forget the lesson. Humans were exceptional, not because of their strength, but because of their mind, their vision, and their ability to guide others toward a better future.